every time they're yelling at that system, every time they're marching on the streets and breaking windows, every time they go to war against another country, they're strengthening that system. But again, because think about those wars and think about the broken windows and think about where does the money come to replace it? And it comes from more robbing people. If you ran your personal finances like that, and it had to grow 4 to 1 for every productive
I'd be screwed.
You'd kind of be screwed.
Yeah.
In the world of economics, it's common for prices to go down to the lowest cost of making something. Take those calculator apps, for example. They used to cost money or have ads, but now they're all over the place for free. This is happening because advancements in technology naturally decrease the cost of production. But in our world, things get more expensive. Why is that? Imagine a different economic setup where price is always matched how much it costs to make something. That's the kind of change Jeff Booth, an entrepreneur and thinker, talks about. He's known for his ideas on how technology, economics, and the future of money are all connected. Jeff's had a hand in starting companies like Build Direct and Ego Death Capital. Before we get on with the video, we'd like to introduce our sponsor, Stamp Seed. Don't forget to follow the link in our description below for 15% off your stamping kit. Furthermore, 77% of our viewers on this channel are not yet subscribed. If you are enjoying this content and want to support our efforts, please hit that subscribe button and help our videos find more people. Without further ado, here is Jeff Booth on the What Bitcoin Did podcast.
So what I try to do is I say, what are the kind of the economic rules in life, right? What would that look like? And one of those rules is prices fall to the marginal cost of production, right? If you start there, and nobody has ever challenged me on that. Some people say, well, not if you regulate an industry. Prices fall to the marginal cost of production, right? Over a long enough time horizon. You can regulate an industry to stop it, but over a long enough time horizon, prices fall to the marginal cost of production. Let's take the calculator app. When it came on, the first calculator app on the iPhone, you paid for it, right? Or they monetized it through advertising, but they were making money from it, right? And now if you go to the App Store, you'll see 50 calculator apps competing for your attention. They're all free. And it's ludicrous if somebody said to you two things. If somebody said, hey, I have a calculator app, it's going to cost $30 a month, you'd laugh them out of your house. On the other side, if somebody came to me as far as an investor in the ecosystem and said, I have this great idea for a calculator app, I wouldn't take the call. And once all of the inputs are essentially robotics and AI merging to be able to drive cost way down, can that value keep climbing? But what's actually happening, and what's actually happening on Bitcoin, because it's outside of that system, is its pricing, it's actually not going up. It's staying stable. And yes, it's going up in fiat terms, but it's a better way to look at it, that everything in price forever will fall against Bitcoin. Again, we're measuring the world from this system, and we're carrying our baggage from the one we live in into the new one. And it works exactly opposite. So if you know that that's going to happen over a long enough time horizon, you live in a system where the entire system is insolvent.
Yeah.
So you're playing by different rules than the system plays. And at the top of that system, if you're too big to fail, you get bailed out by the taxpayer over and over and over again. So what ends up happening is everybody races to try to be too big to fail. And theft is a harsh word, right? The rich get more of that, because the rich have more of the assets that don't move, right? Inflation is wage deflation. It favors the rent seekers. And then we call those rent seekers the elite. And it's all based on theft. It's a system reinforcing, and people telling themselves that they have to keep this going, because if they don't keep it going, the world collapses. They will disconfirm evidence that what we're talking about, because their feedback mechanism from their base that is hurt the worst tells them how great they are. And for them to unwind their belief system to face the truth means that a lot of the people that they say they're helping, they're hurting the most. And that would be a really hard thing. That's actually why these things just feed back. It would have to tear down their entire belief system, rebuild it on something that actually helps their base, And that's people don't want to hear that, right? It tears them down. It's just too hard to believe. And so it's easier just to say, I'm doing the best I can in the system. They think what everyone else should do, yet not themselves as a cog in that system, and what that would look like. That would look like you go back to the Stone Ages and you're bartering for everything. And Bitcoin would do really well in that environment because it would be the only thing that would kind of retain value. But there's a whole bunch of unintended consequences that would be ugly. It'd be really ugly if that was, and you can see what that looks like for countries that don't have their currency, right? Don't have the reserve currency, because it looks like that. But that function,
yeah,
and all of those people there think now they're winning. So when people talk about growth, what they should be saying is prices should be falling faster, because most of that growth is on rails that bring prices down.
Today's video is sponsored by Stampseed. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stampseed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. Welcome to Bit Intelligence. We are committed to bringing you top-notch Bitcoin-only content. Subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon. Okay, back to the video.
What we already talked about is in some nations, because it's going to happen in the US last, right? In some nations, as their currencies break down, they make that system stronger. The system has so much power over them, and they're measuring the system by the system. And each wave of that is going to create more Bitcoiners. And each wave of that is going to kind of harden Bitcoin more and more. And at some point, there's this transition. But if you're living in Bitcoin, if you're actually measuring from Bitcoin, the only thing without counterparty risk to that debt, like everything in the world has counterparty risk to that debt, except for Bitcoin. If you're measuring from Bitcoin, then you're seeing prices falling to the marginal cost of production. And the existing system has to try to stop that. You have to have something so strong, decentralized, secure, to stop our self-interest from stopping it. Through history, we've never had that. So it would be an invention, or it'd be a discovery that would change forward. Repricing all of the existing system is going to be repriced into that network. Before I saw Bitcoin became, for me, and I think I told you this before, I was a holder of Bitcoin, but a small holder, and almost test trying to see what it was. But I actually hadn't done the work to be able to defend, could this win against what was coming? Could this remain decentralized, secure? When you aggregate all of a system that's 10,000 times bigger than Bitcoin, that everyone operates in and tries to that makes stronger and stronger. Every time they're yelling at that system, every time they're marching on the streets and breaking windows, every time they go to war against another country, they're strengthening that system. But again, because think about those wars and think about the broken windows and think about where does the money come to replace it? And it comes from more robbing people. Human intelligence is error correction. And we stand on the shoulders of other people who have gone before us, and those models, who we are, on an ever-ending journey to find more energy, more storage, more compute. Society expands. So that what's happening right now is that storage is now moving into a computer, which is far more effective than an analog version of a book. Anybody who is not in favor of prices falling to the marginal cost of production, kind of driving Bitcoin, anybody who's in favor of stopping prices from falling is essentially saying, I'm voting to centralize all power in somebody's hands. That's what they're doing. Unintentionally, maybe, but they're voting to essentially, I'd believe that we should steal money at an increasing rate to be able to transfer it to somebody's hands. Even if you just said, think about the system. You have financial regulation to protect you from a system designed to steal your money. So some people are working 80 hours, 100 hours trying to keep up, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. Used to be if you were in the 1%, it was really great. Now you need to be in the 0.1% to be really great. If you just said wages are sticky, right? So people think, oh, it's just a transfer of wealth to these new people and it's going to look exactly the same. No, it isn't. Wages are sticky. So what that means is if wages are sticky, and that's why inflation works going the other way, then wages are sticky. People won't give a wage decrease as fast as prices are falling.
In wrapping up, Jeff Booth's ideas hit home. He's saying that prices naturally fall in line with production costs in the long run. This concept rings true across various sectors, and it even sheds light on the trajectory of Bitcoin. His insights also uncover the cracks in our existing system, where inflation and wealth disparities continue to widen. He is suggesting that if we understand how prices and costs work, we can build a fairer future. It's all about getting a good grip on how economics functions. Stay tuned for more enlightening discussions, and remember to subscribe for the latest recaps, insights, and films about all things Bitcoin. If you want to watch another one of our podcast recaps, try this one here. We'll see you next time.